This story takes place on April 6th of 2014. I had just been living in Florida for like 10 months, 10, 11 months, something like that. And it was a beautiful day, and Doug and I were in the mood for an adventure. Mostly, I think, because I had seen a bunch of people posting about this specific river that's like a really popular area to go and like canoe and kayak. And I was like, Doug, let's go. Let's go do this. And I will, throughout this story, if I have pictures like pertaining to anything that I'm talking about, I will try and put them somewhere on the screen. I don't even think I've ever been in a canoe or a kayak or anything like that. I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do. I couldn't tell you what's the front from the back, you know? We had our swimsuits on, and I'm pretty sure that we must have had some kind of food or drinks with us, because we did at some point stop for lunch. So whatever, stupidly, we brought like our phones, our wallet, keys, all this stuff, because, well, we were by ourselves, and like obviously we had to get back into our car later. So, you know, we're in the canoe and we just have everything like in the middle of the canoe. If you go on this website and you read about this, they make it sound like it's just this most beautiful, easy trip down the river. So I have found the information that I was looking for. So you go to this place, it's called King's Landing, and that's where you can rent canoes and kayaks and all this stuff, and then you go down the Wekiva River. Here's the information. So they post all these beautiful pictures just saying how majestic and beautiful it is and how peaceful and relaxing. So it is an, oh my God, I still can't believe we ever did this. The trip is 8.5 miles long. Let's just let that sink in. Okay. 8.5 miles long, and on average, the trip lasts about 4.5 hours. Both of those are very true statements. I can't believe we ever did this. This is the worst day of my life. Oh my God. Okay, we get in our canoe. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. I'm like, this is great. I've never done this before. This is going to be amazing. Doug, on the other hand, is like, are you sure you want to do this? You have absolutely no upper body strength. Is this really an endeavor that you wish to take on? And I'm like, yes. I live in Florida now. I must do this. It starts off great. I was sitting in, I think the back of the canoe is, from my understanding, the back of the canoe is how you steer. So whoever's in the back really should know what they're doing more than the idiot in the front, which was me. I'm in the front. And I'm really not being very helpful, even remotely at all. So again, I've never done this, and I don't even honestly remember if Doug has ever done this before, but like I pretty much kept my canoe or my paddle to like one side of the boat, and then he had his on the other. Well, we're like an hour into this trip, and my right shoulder feels like it is actually going to snap off of my body and just fall into the river, and like a crocodile is going to eat it. I'm already starting to hate this. Remember, this is a 4.5 hour trip on average. We're an hour in, and I already hate everything that we're doing, and there's like no possible way to turn around. So now we're going on hour 2, and we've just had so many issues at this point, because one, I'm lazy and my arm hurts, so I'm not really even being helpful anymore, and there's nowhere that we know of where we can feel like we can safely stop. We keep getting stuck in all these bushes and stuff like on the side of the river. It's so annoying. And at one point I did stand up in my canoe and start screaming, "I hate it here. Someone get me out." There's no one around to hear me scream. There was nothing I could do. Oh, and not to mention that while we had been going, we're definitely seeing alligators down this river. And the water is not clear. The water is like murky. So it's not crystal clear like ocean water or anything like that. This is dark, river water. I'm gonna post pictures. Anyway, we get to this point where just tons and tons of people are stopping for lunch. It's like really shallow water. You can, I think it was like barely to your ankles. So we actually had to, I think, get out and like push the canoe a little bit. So we're sitting and having lunch, having a great time. In fact, I'll post the pictures right now of us having lunch. At this point, I don't even know whose idea it was, probably mine, that I wanted to sit in the back. I wanted to steer the canoe. Don't ever put me in charge of anything, ever. So we switch, we get going. It's not the smoothest sailing because now I'm in charge of the steering, the most pathetic little weakling. Our canoe starts to hit this stream, like it's really picking up steam. We're cruising now, and there's absolutely no control of our canoe, and we're heading towards this massive, huge bush thing. So, I mean, we're in a current at this point. I mean, really going fast. Doug, being the gentleman that he is, puts his arms up like this to try to snap off the branch that is about to smash us both in the face at like 20 miles an hour. That's probably an exaggeration, but still. Well, that didn't even remotely help. All it did was that it blocked him from getting hit in the face because he's so strong that he was able to bend the branch backwards. And this is like a big bush, like a really pretty big branch. Well, now the branch has this force of us not only speeding at it and Doug bending it back, it swings. Oh my God, this was the worst. So it basically has like been wound up, and Doug swings past it, and now it releases and it slaps me straight in the face and the chest. And in the canoe, I don't know if all canoes are like this, but in ours specifically, there's like the seat that I'm sitting on and then this little triangle space right behind me. The force of this branch hit me so hard that I fell off of the seat I was sitting on, and I was also a lot skinnier then. And now I am stuck, literally physically stuck in this small triangle space at the back of the canoe. I cannot get out. I'm stuck. And remember when I said that we had our phones, our wallets, keys, everything is in this canoe. So just, yeah. All right. So I think our canoe ended up kind of like just drifting a little bit, but we looked down and what we had actually crashed into was a fucking massive nest of spiders. And not just like little baby spiders, like spiders. And there are spiders. I probably had 11 spiders crawling all over my body. There was so many spiders crawling all over our phones, our wallets, and everything. Doug is covered in spiders, and I am lodged into the back of this canoe, not able to move, and we can't flip the canoe over because of all of our stuff. We just have spiders crawling all over us. And I'm crying and laughing at the same time because really it's just so ridiculous, and like only this shit happens to us, I swear. Eventually, in the midst of my crying and laughing, we're trying to get these spiders off of us. Eventually, you know, I think Doug might have actually had to pull me out at the back end of the canoe. And we still had like 2 hours to go on this trip from hell. So, whatever. We keep going, and we're finally getting to where there's some people, and we're like, hey, do you know when this thing ends? They're like, oh yeah, it's like 5 minutes, you'll be done. We get to the point when you're supposed to veer off to go to return the canoe. And there's like a bunch of people on one side of the river, and then there is a huge tree that is blocking the river in the direction that everyone has to go. And the people who are on the other side of the tree are like, you guys, literally this tree just crashed and fell into the river probably 5 minutes before all of you showed up. More like, you fucking kidding me? Being the princess that I am, I refuse to even put my pinky toe in this water because it's so dark and so murky, and we've seen alligators on this trip.
What do you got?
It's so disgusting.
Are you on the camera?
Can you shut the door, please?
Lisa, if you're a princess, I'm a king, you can shut the own door.
Douglas! Come on, before my battery dies.
Oh, God, before the battery dies.
And this water is deep. Like, this water, I think, was like chest deep if you stood in it. And the only way to get your canoe to the other side was to get in the water and hoist the canoe up over you and like throw it over this giant tree branch. I am throwing a fit of epic proportions in the middle of this fucking river. And thankfully, some guys that were on the other side were kind enough to say to Doug, hey, if you can get her to stand on top of the tree branch, we'll help you get your canoe like over to the other side. Guys comes over and grabs my hand. He's like, he's like, I'm gonna help you so you can stand up, because this tree is so big that like the tree is sticking above the water. He's like, I'm gonna have you stand on top of this tree branch and just hold on right here. I will help your boyfriend get, at the time my boyfriend, I'll have him help him get the canoe over to the other side so you guys can be done. I'm like, fine. So I go to like step out onto the tree that has fallen, and I grab my hand on the tree branch so I can pull myself out. And now I'm standing up on the tree branch. My hand is right here holding this tree. I'm gonna vomit. And I happen to just look before I go to grab it again. And I think they're called wolf spiders or something like that. I'll put a picture in it if I am brave enough to do that. There's a fucking wolf spider. Like, the body of this spider is literally the size of this. And my hand is here, and this the spider is like right here. So no one has moved the canoe yet because they were waiting for me to like safely get out of it. And now I'm screaming bloody murder, and I ended up falling off of the tree branch and like slamming my body. I mean, I like fell really kind of far, just slamming my body down inside of this canoe because I fell off the tree so hard because I was so terrified and disgusted. And everyone is just laughing at me as I'm making this horrible scene on this horrible river on this horrific day from hell. Anyway, eventually Doug gets the canoe to the other side. We get to the end where we can return everything, and we look at each other and we're just like, Doug and I, not actually, but like in this moment, we hate each other so much for what we just went through. We're like telling each other, I'm gonna need at least 3 hours away from you where I don't see your face and I'm not around you. Like, we just don't want anything to do with each other. That was one of the worst days of my life. I don't belong in nature. It's not somewhere I'm meant to be as a person. You couldn't pay me enough money to go camping. Camping anywhere, but let alone in Florida, where I just feel like so many things are like poisonous. Ew. And I don't care if that makes me a diva or anything like that. I know where I belong, and the most outdoorsy that I will get is going to the pool and laying in a lawn chair. That was our horrific spider nest canoeing down the river day, and I hope that you enjoyed listening to it. Hopefully this was funny to someone. It's still hilarious to me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.